The reason there's no Q&A, apart from the extensive intel, is I've pulled four questions out, and I'm going to address them and a whole heap of other issues to the end of this show. This type of thinking has to stop. So the first question was, Kim mentioned, this is in our show with Randy on Sunday, wanting to transfer the funds for devastation in Florida, etc. for the last hurricane. I find this puzzling, since severe weather of this sort is not natural and we all know about weather wars. I agreed. So a certain faction is creating this devastation and the supposed people's funds are being used to clean it up. Why just not stop whatever faction is causing the devastation in the first place? And this goes for the supposed wildfires in California. It's obvious that California and the US is under attack. I agree. How can this be if the people control the planet now? Was the next question. Why did the people pay for the devastation that has been put upon them? 1. Here's my answer. We are the team who is attempting to fix many of the world's ills. We are not an army or a military force. 2. The people, in essence, are in control of the planet. But we also have people who wish to continue the old ways. And people like whoever wrote this email, spending their days complaining about their circumstances and not the all. Complaining and doubting those who have tried to help you. As heaven forbid you would try to help yourselves. And this is the biggest problem we face, in particular in the Western world. You ask for freedom and yet do little or nothing but look for faults in the people who do. There is another similar load of loaded and doubting questions on this subject that I will not get round to covering in this show. Received today, or yesterday. Item 3. So why did the people pay for the devastation as put forward by this person? Clearly you have zero understanding of who pays for anything with that type of narrative. We have always paid for it. You don't think the cabal have paid for it, do you? Seriously? And the question back for the person who wrote this is, should we wait for FEMA to do it then? And you do realise FEMA is paid with our money now. Governments don't have money, only ours, in case you missed that fact. And FEMA has had 5 to 6 weeks to help those people in the disaster regions and have done nothing. Just sat there waiting for the Rothschilds' RV-based money. In fact, the only reason FEMA has any money, and it's not much, it's because of the trust that you are trashing. But let's ignore that fact, shall we, and rip everything apart because you have no real idea of what's going on. So the trust decided it would be a good idea to take over all disaster situations. All of it would be coordinated, all of it would be transparent, every single dollar would be accounted for. Currently, none of it is, and put people back in their homes as soon as possible. Now the team spent a whole week working 15 to 18 hour days on that particular proposal, which went directly to Mr. Trump, which was agreed, and then other forces came in and blocked it. 15 to 18 hours a day for a whole week with no pay to help the people and all get back to their homes. And yet we get this level of bullshittery from people we are trying to help. And his or her next comment. Thomas mentioned loans in the show. What? So here we go again. The people needing to borrow their own money. That is the old system for sure. He also mentioned public projects to give people water, clean water, etc., so that they can become self-sufficient. So many people are incapable of being self-sufficient due to the slavery en masse on the planet. If the people are now in control, why haven't the new technologies, free power been released? And why do we still pay utility bills if the people own everything? These are the simple steps that can be taken that can serve to free people easily from debt quickly, yet Kim mentions giving funds for devastation that has been caused by evil factions. My response? I never mentioned loans at all. Complete figment of your imagination. I'm sorry, we just never mentioned loans. If any loans were mentioned about being arranged, it would be for the refinance of people's mortgages at much lower rates. And whilst you've sit there complaining and ripping it to shreds, we have worked out a plan to eliminate student loans. Again, spent 15 to 18 hour days on that, also for no pay. But you carry on being critical. And as for the comment, so many unable to be self-sufficient, I agree. But who fixes that? You do. As for free energy and new tech, this will be explained later was explained in the Intel. It just gets blocked. Next comment was, if these factual cabal factions have been cut off, as Kim said, why are they still able to live their lifestyles? Answer is because they have access to leverage funds, print out fake money, which our team have worked hard to close down. 4. Kim mentioned these funds used for sustaining social security. Again, what? SS is such a Ponzi scheme, it's not funny, as are all pension systems. I agree. And then goes on to explain how her husband worked all of his life, and she's not, sadly now he passed away, and she's getting a fraction, less than 15,000 of that money that he paid with his labour. I cry when I think of all this hard work going into someone else's pocket. It is so disgraceful and both saddens me and angers me. There is more I can mention, Randy, but to wrap it up, why is this any different than NESARA, the Saint Germain World Trust, or OPPT? These are the type of comments we've had to deal with and the questions. Now the answer to that final part is we, the trust, has always paid social security. And yes, the rest is a Ponzi scheme, as outlined in a previous show. Again, our team has worked on a solution to fix this problem. And all you can do is sit there and write utter drivel with zero understanding of what has been said, zero input, which is more importantly, of how to fix things, and throw barbs at the very people who are trying to fix things using terms like NESARA, which doesn't exist, Saint Germain Trust, which doesn't exist and never has, and OPPT, when a derivative of this show and myself, who was the only one at the time who exposed OPPT for what it was. I personally warned Heather not to pursue that as it was flawed in their knowledge base. In other words, she didn't know what the hell she was talking about or what she was doing. She carried on, and you all see the consequences of her doing that. This has and always been a big problem with humanity. I've taken umbrage with whoever wrote this diatribe, but he or she are not alone with that line of thinking or mindset. And at the core of it, it is because of this line, we the people have been deceived, he or she said, one too many times since the advent of the internet. And I have become extremely cynical because of it. So because you have been deceived, you think everyone else is deceiving you. That is exactly what the cabal wanted. That is why they orchestrated all of the money-based internet schemes. So when one did come forward, you wouldn't know, and then you would discredit it. So in essence, you have been deceived again, have you not? Because you haven't developed your own inner truth. It's just safer to assume everyone talks out of their ass and is here to deceive you. The reality is you are deceiving yourself. This is why the internet is overloaded with bullshit, all designed to distract, confuse and mindfuck you. And yet so many